They were filming when it happened. Under a rain of gold confetti at the Atlantic charity gala, Jayden Cole, the 26-year-old tech billionaire in a white tux, went down on one knee with a ring that could blind a city block. The live band cut its horns. Cameras from every table swung toward him. He had just auctioned 2 luxury cars to fund a children's clinic. He had tipped every waiter with crisp dollars and naira, smiling like the city's favorite son. He was the headline, the miracle boy from a crowded apartment who became the face of money. Zara stepped forward in a glittering emerald dress. She was a rising TV host with a laugh people followed online. For a month, Jayden had sent her flowers, a custom phone, a scholarship for her cousin, and a box seat for her mother at the stadium. He had charmed her family. He had bought her friends designer shoes. He believed he had covered every angle money could reach. Zara, Jayden said into the mic, voice smooth, eyes bright. You are Grace. You are the future. Will you make me the luckiest man alive? The crowd stood. Phones rose like a forest. The ring glowed. Jayden lifted his face toward Zara and whispered, I love you, as he reached for her hand. Zara froze. Her smile trembled and drained. Her eyes watered, not from joy. She flinched, stepping back so fast her heels scraped the marble. A mic somewhere caught the whisper she thought no one would hear. Oh my God, your breath. The word hit the speakers like a slap. A ripple of sound rolled through the hall, gasps, little laughs, someone choking on an olive. A cameraman forgot to cut away. The gold confetti kept falling like a bad joke. Jayden stayed on his knee, ring lifted toward a woman who could barely stay close enough to touch it. Zara waved the air near her face, covered her nose with her hand and shook her head. She did not say anything else. She didn't need to. No, she mouthed, backing away. The band tried to improvise a gentle chord. The MC grabbed the mic, stuttering a joke that died mid-sentence. Jayden stood, cheeks burning, breath caught in his throat like a stone. He watched Zara flee the stage, her friend pulling her along. At the back, someone giggled too loud. Somebody whispered, again? As if this were a movie they had seen before. Jayden lowered the ring. He smiled, the tight smile of a man whose armor had cracked in front of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, voice steady by force, let's keep giving to the clinic. He put the ring in his pocket and walked off the stage before anyone could see the wet shine in his eyes. Outside the ballroom, Lagos wind slapped his face. The lagoon was black silk under the night. His friend Malik caught up to him, breathless. Bro, let's go, PR team saying we have to move now. Before the clips hit everywhere. Jayden stared at his reflection in the glass. Tall, perfect suit, perfect watch, perfect life, and the one thing no money had fixed. The one thing that kept turning love into a soft punch. He pulled the mic off his lapel and handed it to Malik. Get the car, he said. 5 minutes. Alone by the water, he closed his eyes. In memory, a chain of moments played. A high school dance where a girl stepped back and said she felt dizzy. A college party where a kiss turned into a frown. A rooftop date where a model covered her face and made an excuse about a sudden headache. Every time he had paid more, done more, smiled wider. Every time their faces had changed when he leaned close. Dentist, specialist, new routines, tongue scrapers, sprays, mitts, a small surgery. Tease a grandma in Surulere swore by. An American clinic in Buckhead where they measured everything and said he was fine. Nothing had ended the recoil. People praised him from a distance. Up close, something pushed them away. He had learned to step back when he talked. He had learned to angle his face. He had learned to laugh without getting too near. But love did not happen at a distance. Love needed breath. Inside, the gala roared on as if nothing had broken. The charity video rolled. The host raised more pledges. People posted him with captions like, King moves, real giver, big heart. Their lights reflected on the glass like a storm of false stars. The first message hit his phone. I warned you. Money doesn't clean a curse. Jayden blinked. Unknown number. He frowned and slid the phone away. Everybody talked. Everybody had a theory. He wouldn't feed it. The second message came with a pin location. If you want it to stop, come alone. Midnight. Under Third Mainland Bridge. I will tell you why every girl steps back. His chest tightened. He looked around as if the sender might be hiding behind a palm tree. Lagos air smelled of sea and pepper from a nearby food truck. A mother settled a baby on her back with a wrapper and stared at him with the soft pity of someone who had seen too many nights like this. Sir, whispered an older woman in a cleaner's uniform, wheeling a cart of mops toward the service doors. Her headscarf was tied in a neat lilac knot. You're a good boy. I watch you on TV. Stop throwing your money at women. Money cannot hug you back. Her voice had the sand and sugar weight of the market. He swallowed and tried to smile. Thank you, Ma. She glanced around, lowered her voice. My sister had a husband with odor that chased happiness away from his house. It was not his mouth. It was his name. Return what was taken, and your breath will sweeten. She tapped the cart and disappeared into the corridor, leaving behind a faint lemon smell and a harder thought. His name. Return what was taken. Jayden turned toward the city lights, and the story slid open behind his eyes, a path that began far from confetti and cameras. He had been 12 when the first whisper stuck to him. He and his mother lived on the 4th floor of a building where the elevator never worked. Mama sold Ankara dresses and could turn simple fabric into joy. She had a laugh that bounced off the corridor walls and eased the neighbors' worries. Jayden did homework on the floor while she cut and stitched through the night. On Sundays they took Danfo buses to the big church on the island where the choir sounded like thunder. His father, people said, had been a business genius with a soft handshake and a vanishing act. Jayden knew him through news photos and one glossy magazine feature. Cole the Collector, a young man in a tailored suit beside shelves of rare artifacts. The article said he had made his first millions buying and selling pieces of history, things from families who didn't know their value. The man left when Jayden was 2. He left with money, with objects that did not belong to him, with a private smile captured forever on a page, and something else nobody could see. At 12, Jayden came home from school after a fight. A boy had taunted him. Cole the Mouth, he said, pinching his nose. Jayden did not yet smell bad. He only smelled like the day and dust. But the words found him early like a prophet you do not want. Do not mind them, Mama said, pulling him close and pressing her cheek to his head. You are more than their talk. You will build big things. Keep your heart clean. Keep your name clean. By 16 he built small phone apps that spread like harmattan fire. By 19 he pitched a tiny savings tool that let market women round up change into a pot they could open for school fees. By 22 he sold a company in Atlanta and came home with money that scared some people and saved others. He bought Mama a house with windows that let the sun in like gold. He turned his father's last name into a brand the city whispered about with pride and envy. The breath problem rolled in like fog no one noticed at first. A girl named Brielle from his coding class stepped back during a study session and laughed it off. Maybe it's the coffee, she said. Another date blamed the sushi. Later, new friends managed distance like ballet. The pattern hardened. He hit it with strategies, with mint leaves, with short speeches and long transfers. The money got louder. The laughter got softer and more honest only when it was far away. Tonight at the gala was supposed to fix the story. He would give more than anyone else. He would show the city his heart and a woman by his side, and they would finally stop making him the punchline hidden inside praise. Instead, the city would wake to a video of Zara recoiling and a caption someone would write that said, "When money can't buy mint." The door opened. Amara, his PR chief, stepped out with a tablet hugged to her chest. She was small, sharp, and loyal. We can get ahead of this, she said, although her eyes said the fire was already burning. We issue a statement about respecting women's choices, then shift the story to the clinic funding. I'll cede a clip of your speech from earlier. We avoid the proposal footage. You can't avoid what everyone is reposting, Jayden said. His voice was calm. His hands were not. Then we lean into grace, Amara said, softening. You walked off like a gentleman. We show that. We make you human. Human was a word people used when they wanted your pain to be useful. His phone buzzed again. A third message. Your father's hands carried things that were not his. He hid them and something began to rot. Breath is the first messenger. If you want the smell to leave you, bring a receipt only you can give. A car glided up to the curb. Malik waved from the back seat. Come on, bro. Jayden looked past Amara to the ballroom where laughter had already relearned how to sound normal. He touched the ring in his pocket like a stone found on the shore of a storm. Money, he knew, could build bridges. But tonight, it had built a stage for his humiliation and then stepped aside. Cancel the after-party, he said. Tell the donors I'll meet them tomorrow. Amara nodded, reading his face like a page. We'll regroup at the office in the morning. Sleep a little, Jay. He faced the lagoon once more. Midnight was 2 hours away. Under the Third Mainland Bridge, the city's dark ribs rose from the water. The message sat on his screen like a dare, like a door. He put the phone in his pocket, squared his shoulders and walked toward the waiting car. He did not see the person watching from the shadow of the palm trees, a figure with a scarf pulled low and eyes that followed him like a debt collector from another time. The figure lifted a small leather pouch and let the wind catch a thin trail of ash that drifted toward the lagoon, writing one word across the night he could not yet read. When the first ash touched the water, every street light along the causeway flickered once, as if the city itself had taken a breath. The message on his phone changed. Midnight. Come alone. If you bring anyone, the smell will spread to someone you love. Midnight found the bridge humming like a giant throat. Jayden stood beneath its concrete ribs, where the city's long spine met black water. The air tasted of salt and petrol. Far above, tires hissed like snakes. A fisherman's lantern bobbed in the distance. Stray dogs circled a stack of pallets, then vanished into shadow. Lagos never slept, it only blinked. He came alone, hoodie up over his white tux shirt, ring still in his pocket like a joke he could not put down. He had told Malik he needed air. He had told Amara he would go home. He had told no one about the text. He knew how foolish it was to answer a stranger in the dark. He also knew how heavy a lifetime of soft recoil could feel on a single night. "Jayden Cole," said a voice. It came from behind a pillar slick with algae and old posters. The figure who stepped out was the woman from the gala corridor, the cleaner with the lilac headscarf. She wore the same uniform, now damp at the hem, and she carried a leather pouch clasped tight in both hands. Her face was lined like a map. "You texted me?" Jayden asked, keeping his tone even. "No," she said. "He cannot type. I sent the words for him." She tipped her head toward the darkness behind her. A second figure emerged, a tall man with a scar that ran from his left eye to the curve of his mouth. He wore a faded football jersey and a string of cowries at his neck. His eyes were calm and old. He limped. In his right hand he held a walking stick carved with symbols. "You are late," the man said. His voice had a gravel that did not belong to his age. "Who are you?" Jayden asked. "I am called Brother Iyer," the man said. "Do not look for that name online. It belongs to the road, not to screens." He gestured at the water. "Your city sits on a mouth larger than any man's. Things swallowed here remember their owner." "I have work tomorrow," Jayden said. "If this is a scam." Brother Iyer shook his head. "You pay to end problems you do not understand. I'm not a receipt you can keep. I'm a road. Walk or don't." He tapped his stick once on the wet ground. "Your breath has carried a story since you were small. It grew when you grew. It will choke you when you try to say forever to any woman. Because the first forever tied to your name was cut with a blade." The words stung, not because Jayden believed them but because they fit too easily against the softest part of the night. "My father," he said. Brother Iyer nodded once. "Cole the collector." He took a thing that was not his and he laughed at the warning. He paid the sellers well enough to feel innocent. He wore a new suit. He smiled with soft teeth. But value and ownership are far apart. That gap pulls. It drags on sons. The cleaner, her name tag read Kemi, stepped closer. Her eyes shone with pity and with a hunger to be useful. "I told my sister's story to you because I wanted you to hear with your heart," she said. Her husband's smell left when he returned a ring he had not bought with clean hands. It was not magic. It was a door opening where a wall once stood. Jayden kept his face still. "What did my father take?" Brother Iyer looked past him into a piece of darkness that seemed to move. The first thing that was not his was a promise. He would marry a girl named Adan and keep her family stool, the carved seat that carried their story through generations, safe in his home. When he broke her heart and the promise together, he took the stool anyway. He said the clan did not deserve it, they did not read books about art. He sold it. He sold others. Masks, iron figures, small pots that had held the first palm wine poured for ancestors. He bought a bigger house and a smaller sleep. Jayden felt a cold creep from his shoes into his chest. He had read interviews. He had heard rumors. He had chosen the version of his father that let him breathe. Tonight his lungs felt tight again. "Even if this is true," he said, "he is gone. I can't undo his trades." "You cannot," Brother Iyer said. "But your name can carry a different receipt. Return something heavy enough to change the balance. Do it with clean hands. Do it with a voice that does not ask to be praised. Then the smell will lose its job." "This is a parable," Jayden said. He wanted to smile. He could not find the muscles for it. "You want me to fund a museum or to pay a family?" "The city has museums," Brother Iyer said. "They need money and you can give it. But that will not sweeten your breath if you do it to fix your face. Sweetness comes when a tear finds home." He turned the walking stick so the carvings caught the lantern light. "Your father hid one thing he could not sell. He kept it because he feared it." He wrapped it in cloth and locked it behind a wall where only his blood will know how to find it. It waits for you. Where? The word came fast, surprising both men. Kemi lifted the leather pouch. Inside is a key and a paper. The paper carries an address. The key does not open a door. It opens a memory. Ma, Jayden said softly, why me? Why now? Kemi's mouth trembled. Because I saw your mother once years ago in a clinic queue. She shared her food with me when we were both hungry and laughed at my joke when I had no strength. She did not know me. She did not have enough for herself. She gave anyway. Kindness travels slowly. It arrives late. It still arrives. Brother Iyer tilted his head, listening to something only he could hear. Come before dawn, he said. Bring no cameras, no friends, no news. If you try to do this like a rollout, the smell will teach you humility again. Go with Kemi now. She will show you the first step. Jayden took the pouch. It was warm from Kemi's hands. The drawstring creaked. He did not open it. Not yet. If I go, he said, and this is nothing, I will still be the man the city laughs at tomorrow. The city will laugh at you anyway, Brother Iyer said with a shrug that looked almost kind. Choose what you give them to laugh at. Pride or repair. A car horn echoed under the bridge. Two boys rode past on a motorcycle, one holding a crate of fish, the other holding his hat. They did not look at the billionaire in a hoodie. The world had its own problems. Jayden drew a breath to answer, and saw from the corner of his eye a shape peel away from a pillar 30 meters behind Brother Iyer. The shape moved like a shadow that had learned to walk. The hair on Jayden's arms rose. The man in the shadow did not make a sound. He didn't have to. A metallic wink at his hip said enough. Down, Jayden said, instincts born of too many security briefings snapping to life. He lunged and pushed Kemi toward a concrete slope. Brother Iyer pivoted faster than his limp promised, lifting the stick. The first shot cracked the night in half. A bullet hit the pillar and spat dust. Dogs exploded into bark. The fisherman's lantern jerked once and steadied. Run! Kemi cried, crawling behind an old tire. A second shot whined. Jayden grabbed Brother Iyer's shoulder and dragged him behind a stack of pallets. The scarred man did not flinch. He pressed the walking stick into Jayden's hand. Hold, he commanded, then whispered a word in a language that felt older than the bridge. The carvings on the stick seemed to darken, then brighten, then go still. Footsteps slapped water. The gunman advanced, steady, sure. He had the rhythm of a man who had practiced shooting where echoes tell secrets. Jayden's heart punched his ribs. He was rich, but money could not buy him a different body in this moment. He had two choices, freeze or move. He moved. He darted to the left, drawing the shooter's aim. The shot cracked again. A chunk of pallet exploded where his head had been, showering him with wet splinters. Jayden felt one bite his cheek. Blood came hot. He didn't stop. He ran toward a lower pier where the concrete met knee-high water. He slid, caught himself, splashed, and kept moving. The shooter followed, cursing as his shoes hit slick algae. Here. Kemi's voice cut through the noise. She had crawled to a rusty ladder bolted to the wall. Down to the service tunnel. Brother Iyer tossed a stone. It smacked metal and rang like a bell. The shooter turned his head. Jayden swung the walking stick like a bat and caught the man's wrist with a crack that traveled into his own bones. The gun dropped. It skittered across wet ground and clinked against the ladder. The shooter snarled, reached for a knife, and slashed. Pain licked Jayden's forearm. He stumbled back, vision sparking. Kemi grabbed the gun with both hands as if it would bite. She threw it into the water. It vanished without a splash, swallowed whole. The shooter lunged for her. Brother Iyer stepped between them and did a small, precise thing with the stick. More a statement than a strike. The man hit an invisible wall in the air and reeled as if a door had closed on his chest. He fell to one knee and hissed, spitting a promise he could not keep. His eyes, when he lifted them, were flat and cold and familiar, not because Jayden knew the man but because he knew the type. A paid shadow. Sirens wailed far away. The bridge had woken the police. Go, Brother Iyer said, breathing hard. He will not be the last. Your father made enemies with sugar on his tongue. They remember the aftertaste. Kemi climbed down the ladder first, nimble despite her uniform. Jayden followed, one hand pressed to his bleeding arm, the other still clutching the carved stick. Brother Iyer came last, his limp more honest now. They entered a low tunnel that ran along the bridge's belly. It smelled of damp and iron and another smell Jayden could not place, something sweet, almost like old cola nuts. They moved fast, shoes slapping shallow water. The tunnel widened and bent, then opened into a hidden maintenance room filled with abandoned tools and rolled blueprints. A single bare bulb burned, fed by a humming box. Kemi finally turned, cheeks wet, scarf askew. "I did not know they would come," she said, voice shaking. "I only wanted to help." Brother Ire put a hand on her shoulder. "You did help. You still are." He faced Jayden. "Open the pouch now. We have no more night to waste." Jayden loosened the drawstring with fingers that would not stop trembling. Inside he felt wood and paper and something like a bead. He took out a small carved token shaped like a stool, the same three-legged design he had seen in books about Igbo and Delta family seats. He took out a folded paper that smelled of old rooms. He unfolded it and saw a drawing of a house he knew too well. His father's first Luck Lane property in Ikoyi, the white bungalow with bougainvillea, the one sold years ago but rumored to still be in the family through a shell name. On the back of the paper, a line written in cramped ink. "Pull the third plank behind the stove. The wall listens." Jayden stared. He saw himself at 8 eating akra on that kitchen floor, feet swinging. He saw his mother humming as she counted change, never stepping on a warped board by the stove. He had once dropped a spoon there and watched it vanish into a slit he could not find again. A new memory rose uninvited. His father kneeling by that same spot at night, pressing his hand against the wall as if it had a heartbeat. "The house," Jayden whispered. "He hid it in the house." Brother Ire nodded. "And the house is not as sold as the papers say. People like your father sell in circles that return to their pockets. Go there before morning. Bring what you find to the name written below." He tapped the bottom of the paper. A second name was scrawled there, Adan Naji, Humiliated Arts Council. Kemi sucked in a breath as if the letters themselves were sharp. "Adan," she repeated. "The first promise." Sirens grew louder, closer, then passed overhead like angry insects and faded. The city adjusted again. Jayden folded the paper. He slid the token into his palm, its tiny stool warm as if it remembered a fire. He looked at the two strangers who felt older than strangers. He nodded once, a decision finding its legs. "I'm going," he said. The bare bulb flickered. In that thin strobe, a shadow rippled across the maintenance room wall, not theirs. Something, or someone, was already inside the Ikoyi house. And as Jayden lifted his head, his phone vibrated in his pocket with a new message from Zara. "I'm sorry for earlier. I want to explain. I'm at your mother's house. Please come." Jayden's blood turned cold. His mother's house. He stared at the message, blinking hard to make sure it wasn't a hallucination. Zara, the same woman who had just humiliated him in front of the entire city, was now claiming to be at his mother's house in Surulere. "Brother Ire," Jayden said, his voice low and tight. "She's at my mom's place." "Zara." Kemi gasped softly. "At this hour?" Brother Ire frowned, his scar deepening like a second mouth. "No visitor comes at midnight without reason. Especially not one who laughed by day." Jayden's pulse thudded so hard it blurred his hearing. He wanted to believe it was a coincidence, that maybe she had come to apologize. But something in the message's tone, it was too clean, too calm. "Could this be another trap?" he asked. Brother Ire did not hesitate. "Most traps are baited with things we still hope for. Go but not with blind eyes. The path you walk now will test both your pride and your fear. One will have to die before the other." Jayden took a long breath. He knew what he had to do. "Kemi, I'll need your car keys." Kemi hesitated. "But..." "No time." He stretched out his hand. His voice had a quiet authority that made her obey. She pressed the keys into his palm. Brother Ire turned away as though already knowing the rest of the night's shape. "When you find the hidden thing in your father's house," he said, "remember, what is hidden often hides twice. Look with heart, not hands." Jayden nodded and ran into the night. Surulere, 1:07 a.m. The rain had started again, thin, wind-driven drops that made the streetlights bleed halos across puddles. Jayden's car sliced through the wet darkness, wipers beating like drums. Every bump in the road jarred the ache in his cut arm. He turned onto the narrow street of his mother's home, quiet except for the whine of an old generator 2 houses down. The gate was ajar. His heart skipped. Mama never left her gate open. Never. He parked, left the engine running and stepped out quietly. The smell of wet earth and hibiscus hit him. He pushed the gate gently and slipped inside. The security light was off. "Zara?" he called softly. No answer. He walked past the little garden, Mama's pride, and up to the front door. It stood slightly open too. The curtain inside moved with the draft. His fingers curled around the handle. "Zara?" A soft sound came from the living room, a whimper. Jayden stepped inside and froze. Zara was there, all right, sitting on the sofa, hands tied behind her back, a piece of tape across her mouth. Her makeup was streaked with tears. Beside her, a tall man in black leaned against the wall, a pistol dangling casually from his hand. The man smiled. "Took you long enough, golden boy." Jayden's stomach twisted. He recognized that voice, the same that had shouted at the bridge before the shots. The shooter. He stepped forward, fists clenched. "If you touch her." "Relax," the man said, straightening. "If I wanted her dead, I'd have done it before you parked. I just needed her to call you here. You're a hard man to pin down these days, billionaire." "What do you want?" The man shrugged. "The same thing everyone wants from you, Mr. Cole. What your father left behind." Jayden's heart kicked against his ribs. "The hidden object." "You don't even know what it is," Jayden said carefully. "Oh, I don't need to. I just know some very rich men in London and Abuja who'll pay enough for me to retire if I bring it." The man smiled again. "You and we're both businessmen, right?" Jayden's eyes flicked toward Zara. Her breath came fast through her nose, eyes begging. He wanted to move, but the gun stayed steady, lazy but lethal. The man continued, "So here's the deal. You and I will take a little drive to your father's old house. You open the hiding spot, get whatever voodoo thing's in there and hand it to me. Then and only then your lady friend walks away breathing." Jayden clenched his jaw. "If I refuse?" The man tapped the gun against Zara's cheek lightly. She flinched. "Then she stops breathing before we leave this room." For a second, the world narrowed to the space between them. The glint of metal, Zara's terrified eyes, the sound of rain whispering against the windows. Jayden nodded slowly. "Let her go and I'll take you there." The man chuckled. "You think I'm stupid? She's our insurance. She comes with us." He motioned toward the door with his gun. "Move." Zara whimpered again, tears slipping down her chin. Jayden moved. Ikoyi, 2:01 a.m. The drive was silent except for the wipers and the occasional hiss of the man's cigarette. Jayden's knuckles were white around the steering wheel. He could feel Zara trembling in the back seat. Every muscle in his body screamed to fight, but one twitch could end her life. When the old white bungalow came into view, the man leaned forward. "That's it, huh? Home of the great collector." The house looked asleep. Overgrown bougainvillea vines had climbed the gate, red blossoms glowing faintly in the wet darkness. The paint had peeled in strips. Windows were blind with dust. Jayden parked. The man shoved him with the gun. "Move." Jayden led them through the front door. The familiar smell hit him instantly, old furniture polish, faint mildew, and something else, faint but undeniable, that same sweet, rotting scent from the tunnel under the bridge. His skin prickled. "Where is it?" the man demanded. Jayden didn't answer. He walked toward the kitchen. His father's memory loomed in every shadow. When he reached the stove, he dropped to one knee. His hands shook as he touched the planks behind it. He found the third board and pulled. It resisted, stuck like it hadn't been moved in years. "Faster," the man barked. Jayden gritted his teeth and yanked harder. The wood came loose with a groan, revealing a hollow space. Inside lay a small wooden box, carved with the same symbols as Brother Eyre's walking stick. The gunman whistled. "That's it? That tiny thing?" He reached forward. "Don't touch it," Jayden warned sharply. The man sneered. "Oh please, what's it gonna do, bite?" His fingers brushed the lid. And the entire house seemed to breathe. A gust of hot, foul air burst out, knocking all three of them backward. The lights flickered. Somewhere deep inside the walls, a low moan rose, like 100 voices sighing through the cracks. Zara screamed through her tape. Jayden scrambled to his feet. "I told you not to." The man's face twisted in disgust. He coughed hard, dropped his gun and clutched his throat. His eyes bulged as he gasped for air. What is this?" he choked. The smell filled the house, thick, rotten, almost physical. Jayden staggered, covering his mouth. Zara fell to her knees, gagging. Brother Eyre's words echoed in Jayden's head. "Breath is the first messenger." The gunman collapsed, twitching once before going still. Jayden stared, heart hammering. Then the wooden box slid a few inches by itself. A voice, soft and female, whispered from inside, "Return me and breathe again." Jayden stumbled backward. Zara, shaking, ripped the tape from her mouth. "What was that?" He swallowed, voice low. "My father's curse." The box shuddered again, then stilled. The room fell silent except for Zara's ragged breathing. Jayden crouched, staring at the carved lid. His hands hovered above it, afraid to touch. He didn't need Brother Ire to explain now, he knew what the box wanted. It was what his father had stolen from Adan Naji. The soul of the stool, the ancestor's breath. He took a trembling breath and whispered, "I'll return you." Then from the doorway a shadow moved. Someone else had entered the house. Kemi. Her lilac scarf was gone, replaced by a stern expression and a gun in her hand. "Good," she said softly. "You found it for me." Jayden's jaw dropped. "Kemi? What are you?" She smiled faintly. "Let's just say I don't clean floors anymore, Jayden. Your father ruined more than one family. Mine included." Zara gasped. Kemi leveled the gun at the box. "Now hand it over. Or you'll join him." Before Jayden could speak, the box began to hum. The lights flickered again. A wind coiled through the kitchen like breath drawn from another world. And the whisper came once more, this time louder. "Return me, or everyone you love will drown in the smell of the dead." Jayden met Kemi's eyes. The air between them vibrated. Something ancient had just woken. The air was thick, vibrating with a life of its own. The flickering kitchen bulb threw long, wild shadows across the walls. Kemi's grip on the gun was unwavering, but her eyes, those calm, kind eyes Jayden had trusted under the bridge, now burned with bitterness. "Don't do this," Jayden said quietly, taking a cautious step toward her. "You don't understand what's in that box." Kemi's lips twitched. "I understand perfectly. That box is what your father stole from my people. From my grandmother's shrine. The stool that carried our family's blessing, our name, our protection. Your father sold the seat but kept the spirit. He locked it here." Her voice cracked. "And for 30 years our name has been cursed. Children born blind. Women losing their voices. We begged for it back." He laughed. Jayden's pulse slowed into a heavy thud. Her anger wasn't wild, it was grief sharpened into purpose. Zara swallowed hard. Then take it. Let her have it, Jayden." He shook his head. "If I hand it to her without doing what the voice said, return me, we all die. That smell, that thing inside, it's not meant for living hands anymore." Kemi laughed softly, the sound hollow. "You think you can play savior now? You think after generations of theft, it's you who decides what's right?" Her finger hovered near the trigger. "Kemi," Jayden said, his voice barely above a whisper, "my mother would share her last meal with anyone. You said it yourself. I'm not my father. Let's return it the right way. Together." For the first time her eyes faltered. A tear slipped down her cheek. But before she could answer, something slammed against the window. Thud. Then again. Thud. Everyone turned. A face pressed against the cracked glass. Pale, slack-jawed. Then another beside it. And another. Zara screamed. Outside, in the garden lit by lightning, figures were gathering, dozens of them, their bodies swaying, eyes glazed white. Their clothes were from different times. Market women in faded wrappers, fishermen with empty nets, a child clutching a broken drum. "The ancestors," Kemi whispered, voice trembling now. "They've come." The box began to hum louder, shaking against the floor. A thin crack opened along the lid, releasing a slow spiral of dark mist that crawled toward the ceiling. The smell grew worse, decay and smoke and something older than rot. Jayden's throat burned. He grabbed a towel from the counter and wrapped it around his mouth. "We have to move, now." Kemi didn't move. Her gaze was locked on the mist. "This is their justice." But then one of the spirits outside began to beat the window, not with anger, but desperation. Its hollow voice whispered through the glass, "Return, return, before dawn." Zara grabbed Jayden's arm. "She's going to get us all killed." Jayden took a deep breath and did the only thing he could. He lunged forward. The gun went off. The sound cracked through the kitchen like thunder. Zara screamed again. Kemi staggered back, clutching her wrist. The bullet had gone into the ceiling. Jayden kicked the gun away and seized the box, ignoring the heat that pulsed through it like a heartbeat. "Zara, get the car running," he shouted. "But now." Zara bolted toward the front door, her heels slipping on the tile. Jayden turned back to Kemi, who was kneeling on the floor, gasping. "You don't understand," she whispered. "It has to come home. To the shrine. That's the only way the breath will stop hunting." "Then tell me where." Jayden demanded. "Humiliated," she gasped. "The Adan compound. Take it there, before sunrise. Or it will spread." She clutched her chest, eyes rolling back. Jayden caught her as she slumped, still breathing but weak. Outside, the spirits pressed closer. The windows rattled violently, the sound of hundreds of whispering breaths circling the house. Jayden grabbed the carved box and ran. He threw open the front door. Rain poured in sheets. Zara was in the car, engine roaring, eyes wild. Jayden tossed the box into the back seat and helped Kemi in beside it. As they sped off, the spirits followed, dissolving into mist as the headlights sliced through them. On the road to Humiliated, the highway was empty except for rain. Jayden drove like a man racing his own heartbeat. Zara clutched the dashboard, watching the dark box quiver on the back seat. Kemi drifted in and out of consciousness. Sometimes she murmured words in Igbo too soft to understand. Zara finally spoke. "Jayden, that thing. It spoke to you, didn't it?" He nodded grimly. "It said if I return it, I'll breathe again." Zara turned to him, voice trembling. "You mean your curse?" Jayden's grip tightened on the wheel. "Maybe it's not just mine. Maybe it's tied to every broken promise my father left behind. Maybe I'm just paying for his sins." Zara reached over, touched his arm. "Then let's end it. Together." For a moment their eyes met. Despite the chaos, something soft flickered there, something like the beginning of forgiveness. Then Kemi's voice rose suddenly from the back seat. Her eyes snapped open, glowing faintly white. "They're coming," she whispered. "He doesn't want it returned." "Who?" Zara asked. Before Kemi could answer, a truck without headlights roared out from a side road and slammed into them. The car spun off the highway, tires screaming. Jayden fought the wheel, but the world was already upside down. Metal shrieked. Glass exploded. The car tumbled once, twice before landing sideways in the mud. Silence. Rain hissed on twisted metal. Jayden groaned, blood dripping from his temple. He turned. Zara was breathing, dazed but alive. Kemi lay motionless, her scarf half torn, the lilac fabric stained dark. The wooden box sat between them, perfectly intact, glowing faintly from within. Then through the rain, footsteps approached. A tall figure stepped out of the darkness. Brother Odour. His white eyes reflected the lightning. "I told you not to bring others," he said quietly. "Now the box is awake, and it remembers every hand that has touched it." Jayden stared at him in shock. How did you find us?" Brother Odour knelt beside the car, rain streaming down his face. "Because I have been here before," he said. "The night your father opened it for the first time." Jayden's breath caught. "You knew my father?" Brother Odour's expression hardened. "I was the one who warned him not to steal it. He paid me to silence the shrine's keeper instead. I failed to stop him then. But tonight I will not fail again." He reached into the car, hand outstretched toward the box. The wood pulsed. A voice, louder than before, filled the night. "Return me before the breath of dawn, or the curse will move to the next bloodline." The rain stopped midair, frozen, suspended. The tree stood still. The whole world seemed to hold its breath. Jayden's heartbeat echoed like a drum. "What happens if I don't?" Brother Odour looked up, his eyes deep with sorrow. "Then your mother will be the first to choke on your father's debt." The box shuddered again, cracks spreading like veins across its surface. And somewhere in the distance, a woman's scream tore through the night, faint but unmistakable. It was his mother. Jayden's world stopped. The scream sliced through the rain and into his chest. It was his mother's voice, raw, terrified, echoing from somewhere deep in the distance. He tried to move, but pain flared up his leg. His hands shook as he crawled out of the wrecked car. The rain had started again, cold and relentless, washing over the crumpled metal and blood-spattered mud. "Ma!" he shouted into the darkness. "Mama?" No reply, only the sound of water dripping off leaves. Zara pushed open her door and stumbled out, face pale, hair plastered to her cheeks. "Jayden, your mother, how could she be here?" "She isn't," Jayden said, his voice breaking. "Something's showing me what it wants. It's using her voice." Brother Odour stood by the road, his walking stick glowing faintly where the carvings caught flashes of lightning. "No," he said softly. "It is not illusion. The curse has found her through your name. The dead is claiming interest." Jayden turned on him. "Then help me. You knew my father. You knew what he did. Tell me how to stop this before she dies." Odour's expression was carved from stone. "You must return what was taken before dawn. The shrine calls for its heart and it sits in that box. But know this, your father did not just steal an object. He stole an oath. The spirit inside that stool was bound by promise. To break it, one of his blood must kneel where he knelt and speak the truth he never did." Jayden felt a weight press down on him, heavier than the rain. "And if I fail?" "The curse will move through your family line like a storm through dry leaves," Odour said. "It will begin with the woman who bore you. Behind them, Zara tried to rouse Kemi, who lay half-conscious in the mud. "She's alive," Zara called. "But she's burning up, look." Kemi's skin glistened with sweat despite the rain. Her lips moved soundlessly as if whispering to someone unseen. Ire stepped closer, crouched beside her and touched her forehead. "She carries the blood of the shrine too," he murmured. "It calls to her." Jayden knelt beside them. "Then she can help us return it." Ire looked up at him. "If she wakes in time." Zara's voice trembled. "How far is this shrine?" 3 hours by road," Ire said. "If the bridges hold." Jayden stared at the glowing box in the back seat. He felt it humming, almost breathing. The carvings on its surface pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. "I'll drive," he said. Ire shook his head. "You drive, you die. The thing inside wants your hands still. Let me lead." Jayden hesitated, then nodded. He lifted his injured mother's scarf from the wreck. He always kept it in his glove compartment, and wrapped it around his arm like a bandage. The cloth smelled faintly of her perfume. It steadied him. They carried Kemi into Brother Ire's old Land Rover, which had somehow materialized out of the darkness like it had been waiting. The inside smelled of herbs and smoke. The seats were cracked. Ire climbed behind the wheel, eyes fixed on the road ahead. "Hold on to her," he said. 2:47 a.m. Lagos, Benin Expressway. The night was blacker than oil. The rain eased to a steady hiss against the windshield. Every few kilometers, lightning carved the horizon open, showing trees, fields, and once, the brief outline of a figure standing in the middle of the road before disappearing again. Jayden sat in the back, one arm around Kemi, the other gripping the box. Zara leaned close, whispering, "You sure we can trust him?" Jayden glanced at Ire. The old man's hands never left the wheel, but his lips moved silently, as if chanting. "Right now," Jayden said, "he's the only one who knows how to save my mother." Kemi stirred, eyes half open. Her voice was weak. "Adan waits at the hill, under the tree where the wind never sleeps." Brother Ire nodded without looking back. "She remembers? That's the place. The shrine of the talking breath." Zara frowned. "The what?" "The shrine," Ire said, "where promises are bound to wind. Words once spoken there live forever. When your father broke his, the wind turned against him. It waited until you carried his name." Jayden felt his throat tighten. "Then I'll go there. I'll say what he never said." Ire's eyes met his in the rearview mirror. "And will you mean it? That is what matters." Before Jayden could answer, the radio, long dead, crackled to life. A woman's voice floated through the static, clear and trembling. "Jayden, come home." Zara gasped. "That's my mother," Jayden whispered. The radio flickered again, her voice breaking through louder now. "Don't let it in. Don't let the breath touch the light." Then silence. The engine sputtered once. The headlights dimmed. Ire slammed his hand on the dashboard. "She's close. The spirit's reaching for her." Jayden looked out the window, and froze. Far ahead, the road was covered in fog, thick and silver like a wall. But in the middle of it, silhouetted against the lightning, stood a woman in white, barefoot, holding something that glimmered in her hands. "Stop the car," Jayden said. "Don't," Ire warned. "It's her," Jayden whispered. "It's not her," Ire said sharply. "The curse knows your heart. It will wear her face until you open the box." Jayden clenched his fists. "Then what happens if I don't?" "The fog will follow you. All the way to dawn." The woman raised her arm, pointing straight at the car. The fog began to move, rolling toward them faster than the wind itself. "Drive!" Zara screamed. Ire gunned the engine. The tires spun on wet asphalt, then caught. The Land Rover shot forward. The fog chased them, swallowing the world behind. Inside the car, the box shook violently. Cracks spread wider. A faint sound, half sob, half breath, escaped from within. Kemi jolted awake, clutching Jayden's arm. "Don't let it open. Don't let it breathe before the shrine." Jayden held it tighter, pressing it against his chest. The wood burned his skin, but he didn't let go. The Land Rover sped through the darkness, the fog screaming behind like a living thing. Ire's knuckles whitened on the wheel. "If it catches us before we reach the hill," he said grimly, "you'll all smell what your father smelled the night he died." Zara looked at him. "And what was that?" Ire's eyes glowed in the mirror. His own soul turning to smoke. The engine howled as they crossed a narrow bridge. The fog slammed against the guardrails behind them and vanished like it had hit an invisible wall. Then, as suddenly as it had come, the world went silent again. Only the low hum of the box remained. Jayden exhaled, chest pounding. He looked at Zara, at Kemi, at Ire, and realized none of them had escaped unscarred. The old man's hands trembled. Zara's lips moved silently in prayer. Kemi stared blankly at the ceiling, whispering her grandmother's name. Jayden glanced at the horizon through the rain-spattered window. A faint line of silver was forming, the first hint of dawn. "Are we close?" he asked. Brother Ire nodded once. "We are near. But remember, when you reach that hill, it is not light that saves you. It is confession." Jayden looked down at the box, its light pulsing like a heartbeat. Somewhere deep inside, the voice whispered again, "Tell the truth, or your mother dies when the sun rises." And as the first rooster crowed in a faraway village, Jayden realized the one truth he had never spoken aloud, one that could break everything if he said it. He was not sure his father had stolen the curse alone. He might have helped him. The Land Rover roared down the cracked rural road as dawn fought to break through the clouds. Pale light painted the sky bruised gold, and every tree looked alive in the mist. Jayden sat stiffly, holding the box to his chest as if it could hear his heartbeat. Brother Ire drove in silence, the lines of his scarred face sharp under the rising sun. Zara sat beside him, her fingers trembling against the window pane. Kemi lay in the back seat with her head resting on Jayden's lap, breathing shallow and quick. Her skin felt hot despite the cold air rushing through the broken window. "We're close," Ire said finally. "The wind here listens. Do you feel it?" Jayden did. The air was thicker now, warmer, humming faintly. It felt like stepping into a church where every breath carried memory. "What happens when we get there?" Zara asked. Ire's eyes flicked toward the box. "You will open it on the hill before the shrine. The spirit will come. It will demand truth. And if your heart lies even once, it will take more than your breath." Jayden's fingers tightened. "Then I'll tell it everything." Ire gave a low, sad chuckle. "Truth is heavier than curses, boy. Many die trying to carry it." The road narrowed, winding between tall trees and thick fog. Then the car emerged into a clearing. At its center stood an ancient Irako tree, roots wide as a house, branches heavy with red ribbons that fluttered without wind. Beside it was a small earthen shrine cracked with age. A carved stool, the twin of the one his father had sold, sat before it, its seat covered in dried leaves and ash. The hill sloped gently upward. Mist curled around it like breath. Ire stopped the engine. "This is where it began," he said quietly. "And where it must end." Jayden climbed out, the air vibrating around him. He helped Zara out, then lifted Kemi carefully from the back seat. She stirred, eyes glassy, and whispered, "She's waiting?" They laid her gently against a root of the Irako. The wind picked up, swirling red ribbons around them. The smell of burnt palm oil filled the air. The box in Jayden's hands grew hot, too hot to hold for long. He set it down before the shrine. Zara took his arm. "Jayden, are you sure about this?" He nodded slowly. "If I don't return it, my mother dies. If I do, maybe I'll live clean again." Brother Ire struck his walking stick against the earth 3 times. "Speak your father's name." Jayden hesitated. The air grew still. "Jayden Cole," he said finally. "My father. The collector." Thunder grumbled far away. The earth under their feet trembled slightly. "Now open the box," Ire commanded. Jayden crouched, hands shaking. The lid came loose as if the box had been waiting. A wave of warm air rushed out, smelling of incense, salt, and decay. Zara covered her nose, stepping back. Inside lay a single object, a small carved wooden heart, cracked down the middle, glowing faintly gold. Jayden stared at it. This is what cursed him?" Brother Ire's eyes darkened. "That is the breath of the oath he broke." Jayden reached inside, and as his fingers brushed the heart, a violent wind burst from the shrine. The ribbons snapped free, spinning around them. The ground pulsed. Kemi gasped, sitting up suddenly, her eyes glowing white. "Return me," she cried in a voice that wasn't hers. "Return the promise." The air shimmered. Before Jayden, a figure began to form out of the wind, tall, regal, dressed in flowing white with beads around her neck. Her skin shimmered like rain-polished wood. Her eyes were calm but piercing. "Adan," Brother Ire whispered, kneeling. "The first bride." Jayden's knees nearly buckled. The spirit's gaze turned toward him. "You bear the name of the thief," she said, voice echoing like a drum in a deep cave. "Why have you come with the stolen breath?" Jayden swallowed hard. "To return it. To end what my father began." Adan's eyes narrowed. "And what do you offer in return?" "I offer my truth." Her form flickered closer until she stood before him, inches away. "Then speak it. The wind will listen." Jayden felt every lie he'd ever told rise like stones in his throat. The world tilted, urging him to hide, but the memory of his mother's scream burned through the fear. "I knew what my father did," he said finally, voice raw. "I was 13 when he showed me the box. He said it was power. He said it would make our name unbreakable. I watched him seal it in the wall. I said nothing." The wind howled louder. "I took his money," Jayden continued. "Built my companies from his stolen empire. I pretended I was clean, but I wasn't. Every time someone pulled away from me, I knew it was my father's curse, but I kept pretending it was bad luck." Zara's eyes filled with tears. Kemi trembled where she sat, whispering, "Truth, truth." Adan's voice softened. "Do you regret silence more than loss?" Jayden nodded, tears streaming down his face. "Yes. I'd trade every naira, every company to hear my mother laugh again without pain." The spirit's gaze lingered on him, unreadable. "Then breathe." A sudden gust of wind slammed into him, forcing his mouth open. Warm air poured down his throat, sweet, sharp, alive. It filled his chest like sunlight. He gasped, falling to his knees. The box shattered beside him, the carved heart dissolving into golden dust that spiraled into the air. Brother Iyer bowed his head. "The oath is complete." But Adan wasn't done. She turned toward Kemi, who was still shaking violently. "Daughter of my blood," the spirit said. "The curse fed on your pain. Do you forgive the son of the thief?" Kemi's lips trembled. "If I don't, it never ends." Adan nodded. "Then speak forgiveness and the wind will rest." Kemi closed her eyes, tears spilling. "I forgive him." The wind stopped instantly. The ribbons fell to the ground like rain. The air grew still, pure and silent. Zara let out a shaky laugh. "It's over." Jayden looked up at Adan's fading form. "Thank you." The spirit smiled faintly. "Remember, riches rot when born from lies. Keep your hands clean, and your breath will always be sweet." With that, she vanished. The shrine cracked once more, then went still. Jayden stood, dizzy, wiping his eyes. The world smelled different now, fresh, like wet earth after harmattan rain. He could finally breathe without shame. He turned to Zara, who stared at him in disbelief. "Your breath?" she whispered. It's gone. The smell? It's completely gone." Jayden smiled for the first time in days. "Maybe curses can be unlearned too." Brother Iyer's voice was quiet. "You have done what your father would not. But every oath leaves a scar. Guard it well." Jayden nodded, grateful. But then, behind them, Kemi gasped. Her body arched backward, eyes wide. The ground trembled again, just once. Then she went still, her head resting gently against the root of the Irako. Zara screamed. Jayden dropped to his knees beside her, shaking her shoulders. "Kemi. Kemi, stay with me." Brother Iyer placed a hand on her forehead, then closed his eyes. "Her spirit carried 2 generations of pain," he murmured. The release was too heavy for one heart. Jayden bowed his head, grief flooding his chest. "She saved us." The old man nodded. "And the ancestors will keep her name clean." Lightning flashed far off in the distance. Dawn had broken fully now, painting the sky with gold. Jayden looked toward the city on the horizon. "I'll build her family a home," he said softly. "A real one. Where they can breathe free." Brother Iyer smiled faintly. "Then you have truly learned." Hours later, as they descended the hill, Zara slipped her hand into Jayden's. "So, now what?" He smiled at her, tired but peaceful. "Now I start again. With truth." She squeezed his hand gently. "That's worth more than any billions." He laughed softly. "Maybe that's the first real profit I've ever made." Behind them, the red ribbons on the Irako tree lifted once, caught by a gentle wind that carried no curse, only the sound of peace returning to the world. The hill behind them faded into a haze of morning mist, its ancient tree now only a dark silhouette against the golden light. Jayden drove slowly this time, not because the roads were rough, but because silence was sacred. Every sound, the soft hum of the engine, Zara's quiet breathing beside him, the sigh of wind through the open window, felt like prayer. Brother Iyer sat in the back seat, eyes closed, holding his walking stick across his knees. He hadn't said a word since they left the shrine. His silence carried the weight of someone who had watched too many generations repeat the same mistakes. The seat beside him was empty. Kemi's scarf lay folded there, her lilac head wrap now streaked with dried mud and blood. Jayden had placed it there gently, unable to leave it behind. "She didn't deserve that," Zara whispered after a long while. "She only wanted her people's peace." Jayden nodded, voice hoarse. "She found it." Maybe not the way we wanted, but she did. They passed through a small village. Children waved as the car rolled by, unaware of the history reborn on their soil. Women bent over basins, washing clothes, humming songs older than any of them. It struck Jayden how normal life looked, as if curses, spirits, and broken oaths were small intrusions in a world too busy surviving to notice. Zara glanced at him. "You're quiet." He smiled faintly. "It feels strange. For the first time in my life I can breathe freely. And yet my chest still hurts. Because freedom always costs something," she said softly. He looked at her then, really looked. Her hair was still damp from the rain, her face streaked with exhaustion, but her eyes, they were steady. "You stayed," he said simply. "After everything, after what happened at the gala, after the madness, you stayed." Zara's lips curved in a sad smile. "I stayed because the man I saw at the gala wasn't real. But the one who went through all this, who faced his father's ghost and still came out standing, that's someone worth seeing again." He exhaled, the words soaking deep into him. "You don't owe me that." "Maybe not," she said, turning toward the window, "but maybe we both owe the truth a chance." They reached Lagos by mid-afternoon. The skyline shimmered with heat, life already rushing back into its rhythm, hawkers, horns, Danfo buses, the eternal hum of hustle. Yet to Jayden it all sounded different. Softer. Less like a race, more like breathing. He dropped Brother Eyre at a small roadside chapel, its paint peeling, its bell cracked but still hanging proud. "You'll keep walking?" Jayden asked. Eyre smiled, leaning on his stick. "The road never ends for those who listen to wind. But I think my feet will rest soon. Your story will do the walking now." He paused, his scar catching the sunlight. "Remember, Cole. Curses do not end, they sleep. If you ever begin to lie again, it will wake." Jayden nodded solemnly. "Then I'll keep my words clean." "Good," the old man said. "And when people ask how the rich man lost his smell of rot, tell them, he finally learned how to breathe truth." He tapped the car's hood twice, turned, and disappeared down the narrow road until the fog swallowed him whole. At his mother's house, everything was quiet. Jayden walked slowly to the porch. The door creaked when he opened it. Inside, sunlight spilled across the living room. His mother sat in her chair, a shawl around her shoulders, her Bible open on her lap. "Jayden," she whispered when she saw him. "My son." He froze for a moment, then ran to her and fell to his knees beside her chair, tears blurring his vision. "Mama," he said brokenly, "I thought I lost you." She touched his cheek, her thumb brushing the scar from the car crash. "I felt you far away," she said softly, "like a heavy wind trying to find its way home. But last night I dreamed of your father. He was smiling. He said you paid a debt he couldn't." Jayden's throat closed. "Mama, She stopped him with a hand. "You don't need to explain. The breath in this house feels light again. That's enough." He hugged her tightly. For the first time in years her arms felt warm, not weary. Zara stood quietly in the doorway watching. She smiled, wiping her eyes before turning away to give them space. Jayden looked up after a while. "Mama, I want to build something new. Not in my father's name, in yours. A foundation for children who can't afford medicine, for widows, for families who were hurt by greed. I want it to be called the Breath of Hope." His mother's eyes filled with tears. "Then maybe your father's sins were not wasted after all. You've turned ashes into air." That evening, as the sun dipped low over Lagos Lagoon, Jayden stood on his balcony with Zara. The city glowed below, boats moving on the water, laughter drifting from the streets. "I can't believe it's over," Zara said, leaning on the railing. He nodded. "It's strange. I've spent years trying to buy peace. Turns out I only had to return what was never mine." Zara smiled. "You're a different man now." He turned toward her, eyes warm. "Maybe. Or maybe I just stopped running from who I was meant to be." They stood in silence for a while, the air gentle between them. Then Jayden chuckled. "You know, I used to hate silence. I thought it made people uncomfortable. Now, I think it's the only time I hear myself clearly." Zara laughed softly. "And what does Jayden Cole hear tonight?" He looked out at the city lights, then back at her. For the first time, no echo. Just peace. But far away beyond the city's hum, on that sacred hill beneath the ancient Irako tree, something stirred. The broken stool in the shrine shifted slightly. A faint gust rippled through the leaves. The ribbons tied to the branches fluttered once, twice, then went still. And from deep within the cracked earth came a whisper that only the wind could carry. "Truth sleeps, but it never dies." The wind turned east, toward Lagos. Jayden, standing on his balcony, shivered as a cool breeze brushed his cheek, soft, almost like a warning. He frowned, glancing toward the horizon. "Did you feel that?" Zara looked at him. "What?" "The wind," he murmured. "It felt like it remembered me." She smiled, unaware. "It's just the night saying thank you." But Brother Eyre, miles away in the chapel, opened his eyes as the same wind slipped through the cracked window. He whispered to himself, "The story is not done." And outside, thunder rumbled faintly as if the ancestors were clearing their throats, ready to speak again.